I'm Kira, and I'm here today to talk about ADHD and the stigmas behind it. Also a guide for the parents and for young children who feel alone. This is Vinny. Say hi. So this is for with ADHD kids and kids who are legitimately feeling alone and like they've got nowhere to go and nobody they can turn to, so this is kind of a support video for you guys as well. So let's start with what is ADHD. ADHD is short for Attention Deficit Hyperactive Disorder, and here is what isn't ADHD, but people claim it is. So ADHD is not a made up excuse for a person's behaviours. It is a disorder of the mind, neurodivergence, and this is where the neurotransmitters in the brain do not give and receive the correct signals and can cause several problems. So here's some things that people claim ADHD is. So people say that kids are just bad or naughty kids, that it's not real, which isn't always the case, because most kids are just, with ADHD, are just easily distracted and can get mixed signals, and they can get frustrated when people start shouting at them or telling them off when they don't understand why they're being told off. This can cause them to get angry and upset, and they may lash out depending on which way you go. But again, it's not their fault, because normally if they lash out, they're confused and all they're getting is people screaming at them and they don't know why, and that's where the problem lies. A second one, they say that ADHD kids are not very bright. Now I know that myself, that's a big fat lie. They may be a little slower in receiving and processing information, like where a normal person's brain can go from A and the information comes in to B and the information receives in the brain. An ADHD person, child or adult, will go from A, where it comes in, to C because they've got distracted on something, back to A again to try and take the information in, then to D because they got distracted again, then back up to A, and they might eventually get to B, depending. But you can additionally have learning difficulties as well with ADHD, but that isn't always a given. It depends on the person. But it doesn't mean they're not intelligent. It means they struggle. It also means they may need more help to stay focused. And depending on their age and ability, they have their own unique talents. A lot of ADHD kids are very creative, whether it be in any form, whether it be media, music, drama, science. They're not all as dumb as you think they are. Fourth thing, they can't control it. That's one of the ones that always been speculated. Oh, they can just control it. Oh, it's not something to be afraid of, and it's not something that they can't control. I've heard that one too many times. Suffering with it myself, I've heard that too many times. Yeah, they're impulsive, have lack of awareness and focus, which makes it very difficult for them to control themselves. It's not exactly something you just click your fingers and wave a magic wand. It doesn't happen like that. Some ADHD kids can learn to control it as they grow up. But that's through therapies, medication. But the medication doesn't always work. Sometimes you need both. But each person's different, so depending on how it affects them, it isn't always the case. Some can't control it under medication, some can't control it with therapy, but it all depends. Oh, here's my favourite. Apparently, we can just switch it off. It just goes away magically. Now, keep it in mind, they also say we can switch off. No. Most ADHD kids don't sleep, which they end up with sleep disturbances. I know, because I suffer with them myself. So, this can mean the body can be absolutely exhausted. Completely exhausted. But if the mind's awake, you ain't getting to sleep without meds. But meds don't work for everybody, so it's about finding a way to help yourself. One of the other things is they do have a tendency to ramble and talk. Sometimes talk too much. Not that they notice or I notice. And sometimes they'll get somebody to repeat themselves just multiple times just to make sure that information goes in if it's something important. Also, one of the traits is being restless. Fidgety, can't sit still. As you may be able to tell from me, the hands go, the body goes, it's just can't stay still for the life of me. So, the lack of sleep does make it hard to grasp what people are saying, because if you don't get much sleep, it's like your brain just zones out. We come to the last one of that. So, many people assume that you can just grow out of it. Yeah. No. ADHD is something you have for life. You can learn to control it better as you get older, but it doesn't mean it's gone. It just means you've got a better handle on it. But they can only control certain aspects, and it depends on how extreme the ADHD is. They don't grow out of it. That's unfortunately just something that'll never happen. So now we're going to go on to some top tips for parents, especially. When you're asking them to do something, keep it short. Don't give them long-winded sentences on what to do. Give them time to remember what they're doing. You might need to remind them sometimes. Change the way that you speak to them. You are always can be turned into, can we try and do this instead? It's about how you respond. Remember, every child's different, so you've got to find another way around it. Me personally, I couldn't deal with the word no growing up. So my mother would turn the no into not yet, or not at the moment, but not no. Sometimes they won't understand, if you're telling them off for something, they won't understand what they've done wrong. So what you've got to do is you've got to backtrack. You've got to work through the stages and explain to them what they've done wrong. It may take a bit of time for them to process it and realise, but you will get through to them eventually. For the parents as well, watch what they eat. Kids with ADHD, especially the hyperactive ones, cannot have the 5 main fruit because of the natural pectin. Apples, oranges, blackcurrants, grapes and pears. Try and find alternatives like bananas, kiwis. Go for something more of that nature. And for any of the kids listening, and any of the kids that just wanted to feel like they're not alone in this world, well, you're not. I'm 25, I still struggle with this condition, and I felt like I was alone most of my life because I was the only one in my life that actually had this condition. And as I've grown up, I have learned to embrace that it's not who I am, it's a part of me. Yes, I may be rambly, yes, I may be hyperactive, yes, I may be bouncy, but it's a part of who I am. It doesn't control me. And just remember, kids, you're not alone. And to the parents who want to, well, if you want to know anything more, I can do another video more in depth. If you just want to put it in the comments. And to the kids, you're not alone. That's what you need to know. Well, this has been fun and very informative, and I hope to God that you realise you are just as special as anybody else, but you think outside the box.